very good evening to you, and thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Spectrum, coming to you live on Radio 1 FM 90, which is broadcasting from the Central Building here in the heart of our city, Kampala. Now, Radio 1 is also live on the different radio listening apps, TuneIn, AfroMobile, Your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. You can also catch us live on DSTV, where our audio channel is 897. Now, there are two ways to contribute to this discussion. One of the ways to do so is actually to send us a WhatsApp message. The number to use is 0703 090 090. Tell us who you are, where you're listening from, then give us that question or comment depending based on the topic that we're going to discuss today. The other option is to call in. Time allowing, I'll open the phone lines for you to actually do so. Now, today we'll be looking at the fight against corruption, the latest developments, and the stance by President Yoweri Museveni. Now, today, young people were once again on the streets of some parts of Kampala as part of the ongoing protests against corruption. Now, since Tuesday, when they held the first activity, over 100 have been arrested. About 94 have been processed through the formal court system, and they were charged with participating in unlawful assembly and also being idle and disorderly. Now, there have been reactions from lawyers, human rights defenders, and a cross-section of parliamentarians who have condemned the security forces for denying the young ones the right to protest. The security forces, on the other side, have insisted that they have acted within the law and stopped what they think is a plan to cause mayhem in the city. On the other side, President Yoweri Museveni has praised the security agencies, saying they succeeded in thwarting what he calls a foreign-sponsored agenda whose plans were beyond fighting corruption. He used his X handle and Facebook page to actually share this information, where he says there's evidence which will soon be produced to prove him right, because the demonstrators were planning to carry out more bad acts than what they have been proclaiming. He has asserted that the fight against corruption is in his hands and that anyone with evidence should provide it, and he will take action. Now, the organizers of this protest have insisted that the president is only good at talking, suggesting that he has allowed over 10 trillion shillings to be stolen annually. Of course, they are quoting the report by the Inspector General of Government. And they also say there's been runaway corruption in different departments of government, including Parliament, where allegations of corruption have actually been made. So this evening, we'll be focusing on these developments, the latest developments, looking at how the state has responded to the demonstrators, but also on the other side, looking at how the other stakeholders, including lawyers, human rights defenders, and parliamentarians have responded, not forgetting the tough stance taken by President Yoweri Museveni, including his promise to produce evidence that points to foreign interference and meddling in Ugandan affairs and Africa in general, that he says goes back 600 years ago. I'll be speaking to two guests. I'm expecting them to come into studio anytime from now, and when they get here, I will actually introduce them. Just a little more information about President Yoweri Museveni's statement. President has again reiterated his earlier call that those wishing to participate in anti-corruption peaceful demonstrations can do so by coordinating with the police and other officers of the government. He says in the year 2019, one of the government officers, Afande Nakalema, organized a march which started from the city square through Kampala Road to Jinja Road and went to Kololo, where so many people attended, including bishops, soldiers, and local citizens. And he says that earlier he had thought that Nakalema had chosen a Sunday to carry out that activity, but he has since learned that it was the 4th of December 2019, which was a Wednesday, and he says that although she organized it on a weekday and not a Sunday as he had earlier thought. It was well organized and coordinated by the police, including helping to block traffic in some hours. Now, the president argues that in some parts of Kampala, which are lightly populated, except during the day and during light hours, there are places that have a huge number of population, and people are involved in productive activities, including selling along streets, along major roads, and such places including Kawempe, Bwaise. He says those kind of suburbs, demonstrations should not be there because they will be disrupting people from earning a living. He actually describes them as wealth creators. And therefore, he says those planning to engage in activities similar to what the youth have organized should actually not try at all, because they are serving a different agenda beyond what they know. And of course, people have been shocked about the fact that the police has had, the protesters have been charged with idle and disorderly, which some people have actually said is a charge that is no longer useful, given the president did pronounce himself about it, telling the police not to actually waste time charging people under such a charge. The president says it appears that the police officers who were in the field, or those that handled the process, were not aware, did not have adequate information, suggesting that the protesters should have been charged in line with what they were planning to do. Remember, I've already indicated to you that the president is saying that they were planning to carry out activities beyond demonstrations. So what exactly were they trying to carry out? And that's the kind of information we'll be waiting to hear from the president. He has also actually criticized the organizers of the protest for not heeding the advice of the police. He says the police told them, do not go ahead with the demonstration. He also told them, you should not go ahead with those demonstrations. He says if it was a patriotic and corruption peaceful demonstration, then they need to work with the police at every stage and ensure that nothing bad happens as they carry out this protest. Feel free to share with us your views using the WhatsApp line, which is 0703-090-090. Tell us, what do you think about the stance by President Yoweri Museveni on this issue of protests? What is your take about what has happened so far since Tuesday? And it appears that the protesters are now organizing to carry out this activity twice in a week, a Tuesday and a Thursday, looking at some of the announcements that we have seen on social media. And they remain determined to carry out these activities, but also presence of security on the streets remains visible. They are also determined to ensure that nobody breaks the law. That's what they have been actually telling us. And President Yoweri Museveni is saying the government will not relent to take action against all those involved in illegal activities, including such demonstrations. So I'll be speaking to two people. I expect them to come into studio right now to provide us their insight on this particular topic as we continue looking at the fight against corruption in Uganda. What has transpired since Tuesday when young people decided to actually take to the streets to start demonstrating as one of the things they think can contribute to ending corruption in Uganda. The Inspectorate of Government tells us that actually annually we lose about 10 trillion shillings. Yesterday we had the Deputy IGG here in studio who shared with us the reaction and said while they are happy that many Ugandans are actually warming up to the idea of fighting corruption, they do not support activities, including those that are likely to cause danger to the lives of Ugandans. And the Deputy IGG there stressing that in enjoyment of your rights as Ugandans, as enshrined in the Constitution to carry out peaceful demonstrations, you need to be mindful of the other people. And the main point there, that if you have information against the corrupt, if you have evidence, do produce it to the relevant authorities in order for them to take action. Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. You can also tune in via the different radio listening apps. Tune in Afro Mobile, your TV channel, Radio Garden, and Stream Afrique. While there, you download any of those radio listening apps. You look for Radio 1 FM 90, and as long as you have an internet connection, you should be able to listen to us. The other option is actually to tune in via our website, which is www.radio1fm90.com. uganda.com. On that website, there's an icon with the word Listen Live. You click on it and you'll be able to listen to us. The other option is via your TV set. That's if you have a DSTV connection, you look for audio channel 897. That is the DSTV audio channel. So tell us, what do you think about the fight against corruption in Uganda? What else can be done beyond the protests? Do you think the protests have achieved their objective as set by the organizers? Do you concur with the stance of President Yoweri Museveni that the people who are actually getting out on the streets, the young people, are funded by foreigners who have completely different interests, including disrupting the steady progress that his government has ensured in Uganda? Send us a message on our WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. The guests who are coming into studio will be responding to you. Today I'll be hosting two guests, and one of the guests I'm expecting here in studio is the Honorable Barnabas Tinkasimire. He is the MP for Buyaga West constituency, that is in Kagati district. He's a member of the NRM party. We also expect to be joined by Mr. Xavier Ejoy, the Country Director, Action Aid Uganda. He's a keen follower of governance issues and from time to time also comments on accountability issues. We know Action Aid Uganda is one of those organizations that was taking the lead in the fight against corruption using what used to be known as the Black Monday Crusaders. Different initiatives have actually been in Uganda, been launched in Uganda to fight corruption, but corruption has persisted. And now the latest one that we have is the one by the young people who have decided that they can contribute to this fight through carrying out peaceful protests, like we have already seen them do. We first saw them on Tuesday when they were carried out in different parts of the town. There were also other demonstrations that took place in Hoima. Here in Kampala, the young people were trying to march to Parliament. They say they wanted actually to go there and petition. There was a sitting which was held in Parliament, not so the following day, where MPs also discussed the matter, and they even encouraged that the police should not be blocking members of the public who actually want to petition Parliament. The Deputy Speaker of Parliament actually said that as Parliament they are ready to receive petitions, and that if there is anyone out there who is aggrieved and wants actually to petition Parliament, they are welcome to do so. I'm going to open the phone lines for you to call in and contribute to this discussion, even as we wait for the guests to walk into studio. The numbers to call on, 0414-346-111. I'll repeat that number, 0414-346-111. The other number is 0414-348-111. I'll repeat it, 0414-348-111. The other one is 0414-348-411. And the other number is 0774-076-394. We also have another number which is 0707-909-097. When you make a call, stay away from your radio set so that we can hear you loud and clear. This is Spectrum on Radio 1 FM 90. The topic of discussion, the fight against corruption. We are looking at the latest developments and the stance taken by President Yoweri Museveni. Just to update you, so far 94 people have been charged formally in courts of law for participating in an unlawful assembly and also being idle and disorderly. That is in line with the protests that occurred on Tuesday. Yesterday, there was a group of 3 youth leaders who were arrested from Eliana Hotel along Nigeria Road. They were planning to carry out a press conference. There were a number of journalists who were actually gathered there, but the police moved in and said they were participating in an unlawful assembly, and they were also charged from City Hall Court, and they were among those that were granted bail earlier today. Also, the former RCC of Lubaga, Anderson Burora, has also been bailed out today after being arraigned in court to answer after being arraigned in court and applied for 111 0414 348 411. Now, we are trying to get in touch with these guests to see if they can begin the submission as they even continue their journey to studio. They did confirm that they will be here to participate in this discussion, and hopefully we'll be able to get them so that they can continue to share their views on this particular matter. But we're also encouraging you to do the same, to just share with us on the numbers that I've read, but also you can send us a message via WhatsApp line, which is 0703 090 090. Just tell us who you are, where you're listening from, give us your comment, question, and we'll take it from there. Let's see if we have a caller on the line. Good evening, you're live on Spectrum. Good evening, you're live on Spectrum. All right, we're still waiting, and we're hopefully that you'll actually call in to share with us your views. The numbers to call on 0414346 111, 0414348 111, 0414348 411, 0707 909 097. WhatsApp line 0703 090 090. You send us a message, you tell us where you're listening from, and we will be responding to you. And also, your contribution to this discussion makes sense, because as Ugandans, you're also urged to contribute ideas and proposals that can help us to fight corruption, which steals from us over 10 trillion shillings, money which very many people say will be useful in the education sector, will be useful in the health sector, will be useful in addressing the challenges that we have in the road sector. The government has been vocal, and President Yoweri Museveni has actually said they will crush the corrupt. And as we speak now, there are a number of people that have been described as high profile, including MPs. We also have a permanent secretary who is in court over allegations of corruption, and this includes people who actually stole money which was meant for compensation of cooperatives. Those are also being charged. They have also been charged. They are already in court. We have people who tried to obtain money from the chairperson of the Uganda Human Rights Commission after asking for a certain percentage and promising to push for the increment of the budget of the commission. Those are MPs. They are also being prosecuted in court there. And each time you tell government that they are only targeting small fish, they will now point you to some of those people who are now in court. But they also tell you there are other high-profile people, including Kazinda, who have been tried in court and are already being charged. Let's go for a break now. When we return, we will continue to look at this topic, the fight against corruption, the latest developments, and the stance taken by President Yoweri Museveni. Thank you so much for staying with us on Spectrum, live on Radio 1 FM 90. My name is Kenneth Lukagandason, your host. And today we are looking at the fight against corruption, the latest developments, and the stance taken by President Yoweri Museveni. I've already indicated to you that a number of youth have been released on court bail after being arraigned in different courts. One of the things that human rights defenders have actually expressed happiness with is the manner in which they have quickly been taken to courts within 48 hours from the time they were arrested. It's no longer that situation where people are held beyond 48 hours. 94 of them have been charged and granted bail, and charged with participating in an unlawful assembly, but also being idle and disorderly. There have been reactions in Parliament, but also President Yoweri Museveni has reacted today and actually said these demonstrations are sponsored by foreigners who actually have a bigger agenda beyond protesting against corruption. So we have one of our guests here in the studio, the Honorable Barnabas Tinkasimire. Good evening, Honorable, and thank you very much for joining us on Spectrum.
Good evening, Ken, and to our listeners. Good evening, all of you. I had taken some time without coming here, but this program is listened to by very many of my friends. They are the ones who are sending me messages even in my constituency, that you are going on radio. We are hearing, I think, when you were announcing the jingles, and I told them I'm held up in a jam in one day, but I am going to the spectrum.
All right. Thank you very much, Honorable, for making it so the hectic jam to be here in the studio. So you found me already. I had explained a number of issues to the listeners. But let me ask you from the onset. You represent people in Buyaga West, but by doing that, you're a national leader. We are looking at the issue of corruption, the fight against corruption. There are protests that are going on organized by young people. There's been a reaction from the security agencies. Over 100 have been arrested and several have been charged. We have had also the situation where the president has weighed in and told people, do not resort to protests. We have the power to crush the corrupt. What is your reaction to this ongoing situation?
I totally disagree with the President Museveni, who says he has the power to crush the corruption, to crush the corrupt. He has been here he has not just come in. He has been here for a very long period of time. And those who are corrupt, have been seen disappearing in the State House where he lives.
Are you sure?
I love the remarks that were made by Justice Muryagonja, who was then the IGG, who said she has been chasing all the thieves, and the biggest number just disappear in the State House. So, and where he lived, she was actually politely telling the Ugandans that they go and seek protection under President Museveni. Of course, she could not say that, but for me, I can tell Ugandans that President Museveni saying he's going to crash. He cannot, because since then, maybe the period he had to crash were in the 80s and the 90s. But subsequently, 2000 going upwards, it has become very difficult because his regime, those working for him, many of them are his relatives, and they are the ones who are corrupt. Friends, those who are very, very close to him, they are the ones working for him. Whom is he going to crush? Whom is he going to? Those who are very loyal to him, he cannot. You know that President Museveni minds very much about his survival than any other thing. You can steal all the money as long as you do not touch his power. He's okay with you. This is why you will see ministers who were indicted, recycled. Jim Muhwezi is one of them. I am sure if Jim Muhwezi had taken the stance of Tinyefuza, he would not be where he is. He would be somewhere else. You can see people like this man of the. They are not even accounting officers. IGG has declared that every year over 10 trillion is lost. In corruption-related issues. If it is like this, who steals these 10 trillion? These 10 trillion, are they stolen by the members of Parliament? Parliament has a budget of towards 1 trillion, beginning with last financial year. In other years, it has been having less than 1 trillion. That includes paying members of Parliament their allowances. We presume that you are saying all the 1 trillion is lost or is stolen by MPs. Is stolen by MPs. Who steals the other 9 trillion? All right. These 9 trillion are stolen by the people he was with in Chankwanzi, where he made these tough declarations. He is only bothered when his ministers pinch the investors, his investors by getting bribes from them. Investors for that's why he was able to carry 3 investors to pin one of the ministers in Chankwanzi. In Chankwanzi. And even when he carried and had evidence, this minister has never been arrested. We are aware that she took a lot of money from the investors, billions and billions of money, asking 100,000 US dollar from one investor, and you get it from 3 people. That is 300,000. How many billions are those? And the minister is at large. Right. There is a minister who sold a rat at 8 million per rat. A rat, these biology rats, which are sold at 320,000. I actually know the price because at one time I ran at school and we were buying them for our science students. Our science students. But the minister, President Museveni says, that scientist of mine is untouchable.
All right. Honorable Barnabas Tinkasimile, you've been at it for quite some time, and at one point you were even labeled as a rebel MP. And somebody will argue and say everybody has that moment where they turn from Saul to Paul. Assuming that all the things that you have said about President Yoweri Museveni are right, he's now telling you that the battle has begun. If you have information like you're narrating, take it to him so that action can be taken. He says President Museveni
has more information than any of us.
And that's what he says.
Why doesn't he act on it?
Probably the people you're pointing at to be the corrupt are actually innocent, and he knows that. How come he's not arresting all of those? Yes.
Then, according to him, if all those people are innocent, then this country should just close and go.
All right.
We should auction it.
Let's shift a bit. Let's shift a bit. This protest that we are talking about, the code name is March to Parliament. March to Parliament because the house where you sit has been accused of actually misusing taxpayers' money. We have seen a number
misusing 1 trillion budget.
We have seen a number of things happening there, and you guys have remained silent. You're not doing anything about it. Any attempt to have the discussions
We'd have a cup of tea, consultation with their colleague. They have been arraigned in court, and
is that how you treat it?
No. As an officer of court, I will be restrained. To discuss a matter that is already in court, and I will ask the prosecution side to expedite the process such that we see whether these people who were arrested actually are guilty of the charges they put against them.
All right, you may not want to comment about those particular individuals, but let's look at what has actually come up. There's a new accusation, and it's called budgeting for corruption. You guys sit in Parliament, decide how much money you will benefit from the budget, you inflate the budget, and then people make away with billions of shillings.
Well,
you are using the budgeting process.
For me, that is not... I am a member of Parliament for the last 18 years.
Okay.
I do not participate in such things. I am lucky I've been a member of the Budget Committee for a very long period of time. We retreat to discuss the appropriation bill after receiving all the reports from the entire sectoral committees. And when we are in that retreat. We normally have a scheduled timetable of meeting accounting officers in open space, even where the audience, the media can access us. Those who engage these particular accounting officers in other meetings. As soon as we retire, we normally retire at 9, I go and sleep. I go to my room either to read because I am largely an academician.
So you're confirming that there are people who actually hold extended engagements with the accounting officers?
That one I can't deny because at the end of the day, you can see where these arrests are coming from those extended meetings, not from the official meetings that we hold. But to accuse the members of Parliament for budgeting to steal, that's not true. Actually, to the contrary, this is what members of Parliament budget to make sure that the ordinary person takes something home. I remember in 2012, using the Ruomochi committee, we retreated to Serena to look for money to cater for the health center 3s, to cater for medical workers, to recruit doctors in those at hospitals and to pay them well, to look for that money, because the president had said, I don't have that money. We retreated and found the money on one item, welfare and entertainment. Welfare and entertainment, briefly, for the ordinary person in Owino to understand me, is eating mandazi, drinking soda, taking tea in office. We said to hell with this, because this was towards 2 trillion. We said we must cut this welfare and entertainment across the board, take off just 40% and get the money. We actually taking off 40%. We got much more money than what exactly we wanted to cover the entire health sector problems. But when we returned and reported to the animal caucus that agreed with us, and later on we went on the floor of the House, by then the then Prime Minister, who was Amama Mbabazi, he before the Ruomochi committee would, because he's the one normally who begin after the communication from the chair, he has the first right of response. He went on the floor of the House because the speaker by then, who was Right Honorable Kadaga, said we adjourned because we wanted to proceed with the budget, and have you harmonized it? Now the Prime Minister by then rose up and he said, we agreed to leave the budget the way it was, which was not the case. We had agreed to cut the budget from the so many trillions to so many billions to put it on the health sector. And from that time, we broke up. We broke up. So the point I'm trying to drive home is that members of parliament, largely the biggest number, are concerned about the welfare of their constituents. There are those small cases who do not care because they will tell you whether you are a good MP or not. Whenever you go to your constituents, they will demand for money. You have to get the money. And this is how they get it, primitively or in this form. But for me, I can never participate in such useless things.
All right. Well, yeah, Honorable Tinkasiwendo, you've been around for quite some time. What do you think is missing in the fight against corruption? What do we need to do? Are there any things that we need to do? Now we have the young people taking matters in their hands to carry out demonstrations. First of all, let me hear your view. Do you think this is useful? Does it help?
Younger people would have a cause, would actually make this country accountable to them. But the largest number of them have since been put in a form of where they are largely fearful. You tell me, this country that has towards 30 million young people, where did they disappear from on the day of demonstration?
Well, some are in schools.
Some are in schools.
Yes, when you look at the population, that includes those who are in
Did
schools.
they close the gates?
Closing the gates of what?
Of the university, of schools. Universities have not opened. That means the younger people are around, are in their respective homes. They did not leave their homes. The others, the biggest number are in Kampala, watching TV, watching what Agatha and the group.
That's interesting.
Agatha, Toko, and the group have been accused for being foreign agents. I even saw a tweet saying Agatha has stolen donor money for organizing the demonstration. These people have been accused. You get me? And normally President Museveni plays this very well. When he's in the corner, he says foreign agents have invaded me. Where are they? These are our people. These are younger men and women, even those who have never talked to any foreigner. Who have never talked.
Are you sure they've never spoken to any foreigner?
I mean, particularly those they arrested. For Agatha and Toko, they could have talked to them. Agatha, I saw her receiving an award from those European-related groups. Maybe they have talked to her before. But I do not want to impute improper motives about receiving that award from the Europeans.
All right.
It does not turn it will not turn her into somebody who is a foreign agent. She's just patriotic and would want to see a better Uganda. I think that's what is driving her. But to choose them as agents of foreign forces is trying to justify the reason why they heavily deployed against them. But we know in this country that any demonstration, President Museveni normally uses a lot of force. And in any case, he knows that they are targeting individuals. And at the end of the day, when they finish, this individual called Anita, Amongo must resign. They will say, President Museveni must resign. His son must resign. Do you think he is foolish?
Do you think Honorable Anita Among should resign? Looking at the accusations that have been made against her.
They should bring evidence
and the statements she has made.
She does not have any immunity like the president, any legal immunity. Those valid accusations should be taken to police. They open a file, and DPP sanctions the file. They take her to court. You get me? They charge her in court. For me, that is my view. But to just see, because the following day I will say, I will come and say, Ken has stolen all the money of Akabozi, of Radio 1, of Radio 1. He should resign. He should resign. Have you stolen it?
I haven't, but compared to information that we have seen being circulated on social media, bearing
the information you want to use,
bearing stamps from Parliament.
Bring that information.
One would say there is no smoke without fire.
For instance, they use the one for buying a generator. For me, I was disturbed that a generator can be bought. Generators can be bought towards to 600 million. But was this money handed over to the two speakers?
How do we know when you have not allowed the debate in that house?
In public service, there is a process.
Procurement
process. It undertook it. The accounting officer sanctioned it, and the officer who requisitioned for the money, who is in charge of this particular item, went and installed the generator at their home. They even, I am so sure that they came to learn about the cost the way we learned about it. But now they are saying, I do not like people.
Do you think there should be an investigation?
Yeah, I agree.
Parliament is handling its finances.
I agree with the investigation, because the investigation brings out the truth. For instance, when we started, there was this exhibition. There was this item of that the Speaker of Parliament gave her radio a business of running adverts to the tune, I think, was it of 13 billion?
About 3 billion. 3 billion.
3 billion. 3 billion.
Renewable.
For me, I actually was very much interested, because I own.
You own a radio?
Yes. I was interested in establishing whether these people had provided station logs for them to get the money.
Is it the leader in you or the greed in you? Because another radio station got the business.
No. I was interested because I wanted to know, to confirm that actually what these people are saying is true. I reached there. What did I find? They signed a framework contract for a period of 10 years to give them business as when it is available. And so far, the business which they had given to them was just for 15 million. The business they had taken was just for an entire financial year.
Did you find out whether the 3 billion had been paid up front or not?
No. How can you pay? What was paid was just 15 million. But what was in the media, they were saying she stole 3 billion. So that's why I support an investigation. Right. If I had not gone for to investigate this matter, that particular item, I would also have continued to believe that she actually stole 3 billion using her radio.
All right, we have comments coming in from the listeners. Amo Martin, listening in from Bari, says, if it's true that Parliament is harboring corrupt individuals, why would the anti-corruption fighters petition the same Parliament, full of corruption, instead of going to courts of law with their evidence? Good evening, George from Bunga. See, when the public loses confidence in you, even if you're doing the right thing to safeguard the nation, they will never believe in you basing on the previous actions. For example, how was term limit scrapped off from the Constitution and the age limit? Then we have another comment from Deng, who is listening in from Bar in South Sudan. Thank you very much for tuning in, Deng. He says, I'm glad to hear from this radio. The reality is that the 11th Parliament has finished Ugandan funds. I wish all were laid down from their duties. Presidential body has been supportive to fight corruption. Let him fire all State House workers. The corruption will go because they can't allow the president to get right information. After that, we shall be free from this saga. We have another comment. But of course, the president can't solve the issue of corruption. Having been in charge for 40 years, the president is a nice man who is too fatherly and likes forgiving the corrupt, unless, of course, one is too much in the periphery. Who has been made, for example, who has been made an example for others to fear to touch the public purse? Ugandan society is too lenient and even glorifies the rich. Every institution has a chain of corruption starting from the reception. So unless you imprison the whole chain, there is no luck in this fight. Did I hear the country loses 14 trillion to corruption? We need a strategic and intentional cultural shift on corruption. Actually, according to the IGG, it's 10 trillion shillings. Andrew, listening in from Kebando, says, I appreciate the president's effort and stand against corruption, but what has challenged most Ugandans is that there have been reports on corruption before Parliament and the President. We have not seen him punish the corrupt officials, and more so, he goes ahead to award them with big jobs. Then somebody writes and says, I was very impressed by the military wing of the NRM. At least no one was killed during the protest. Kudos. That's Emma listening in from Namasuba. We have another comment. The old guards have found it easy to dismiss any alternative views, often branding them as foreign agents, as if Ugandans don't have the brains to see the road. We shall petition even in heaven. That is Ken listening in from Gayaza. Thank you, Mr. Lukwago, for the program. The issue of moral authority is not something you can build overnight. When you have stealing or helping thieves for such a long time, it's close to impossible to bring your team to order. So Honorable Tinka is correct. The current system cannot deal with the corrupt because its culture has been built and accepted in many ways. That's Msinguzi, listening in from Kira Municipality. John Muzanganda in Matuga. Even if the youth demonstrate against corruption, demonstration against corruption is funded by foreign agents, what's wrong with that? Who funds our national budget? I think they are following their money. Anyway, this is the NUP and opposition leaders not tagged by the president. He says, anyway, this time, NUP and opposition leaders are not tagged by the president. Then we have another point here. Hello, Mr. Moderator. Henry from Namuongo here. Our guest in studio tonight is so convinced that investigations are the remedy. How many investigations have yielded good results in this country? The whole legislative house is simply rotten. That's all I can say. Well, those are some of the comments that we are getting coming in from the listeners. Honorable Tinka Simiri Barnabas, would you like to respond to some of these and also share your views?
Particularly that last one, who says the whole house is rotten. I want him to bring evidence against Tinka Simiri because I belong to that house. I've been there for 18 years. I want him to bring evidence against me because when you say the whole house, you are also putting me there. The other day, I saw one of the MPs distancing himself. There are a number of members of parliament who are who go to the house to actually do our job. In many instances, we have refused. Even inducements. Inducements. The one who was talking about, at least he knows that we participated in the passing of age limit bill. In the passing of age limit bill, we opposed it, voted against it, but we were defeated on the floor of the house. On the floor of the house, those who collaborated were given 200 million each. For us who actually refused, Our price tag was 500 million. We refused the 500 million and voted against it. So you cannot just come up and allege who is going to work for you if you allege that the entire parliament is corrupt. That's why I still insist proper investigations should be carried out, and now the issue is who is going to do the investigations. Because if you say everyone is corrupt, everyone is corrupt, it becomes very difficult for you, for even us to propose that there should be investigations to be done.
Earlier on, you suggested investigations should be carried out.
I did.
Who should carry out those investigations?
For instance, on this matter, when we start discussing it on the floor of the House,
will you?
I know.
Will you be discussing it?
It is going to come on the floor of the House. Most likely in the next sitting, because if it is carried, we will demand that an investigation is be done, and we will agree on the independent names that should be put. The problem, there is a procedure. When you say Parliament should investigate itself, there is a procedure that is done. The opposition whip, the government chief whip propose names, and of course names of people like Tika Simire will not be recommended because we are too hard. If it is a spade, we call it a spade. We can never be part of that committee. That becomes very difficult. But let's be hopeful that whatever will be investigated and brought on the floor of the House, we will discuss it, and those who will have additions can add it on particularly on their report. I want to agree with the person who says the appointing authority appoints the corrupt. Every time you appoint somebody, there must be a mechanism of following up that person. Others have perfected the art of pretending to the president that they are too good, but at the same time, they are the worst corrupt people. That's why I have asked those who are saying Parliament is corrupt. Parliament, from time immemorial, has never received a budget that is above 1 trillion. 1 trillion includes paying members of Parliament like my pay. Unless you say my pay is I steal it.
As your pay increased, that would be the question. Why is your budget overshooting?
No. Overshooting it what?
Well,
we have
their ceilings.
We have 72 trillion. 72 trillion. But still, the budget of Parliament is still oscillating in 1.2 trillion.
All right. All about Barnabas Tinkasimila, we don't have enough time left, so I'll give you an opportunity to give us your closing remarks on this war against corruption.
Younger people should wake up and be serious. This thing of for instance, we started the war of fighting for their rights a long time ago, but did they care? Me, when in 2016, the person they convinced to stand against me was a youth, a chairperson of venerable youth. They are the ones who have been battering us. I want to thank God that now they are feeling the heat. Let them raise up and try to struggle and survive in this hostile environment.
All right.
Yes.
All right. I'm afraid time is not our best ally, but thank you so much for braving the traffic to actually come here and share your views with us.
Thank you for the good invitation.
And I am
looking forward for another invitation to come and share such hot things.
Indeed, I will be looking forward to inviting you. Thank you very much, dear listeners, for actually tuning in and sharing your views. You have indeed helped us to enrich the discussion here in studio. Up next, we have the news in English with Miss Josephine Dagano. Thereafter, we'll have the Soul Train with BB Jr.